It was this time actually, Ronnie. It was this time about 3 years ago that I was coming towards the end of my career as a short-lived career as a removals operative, as a removal man, and it was long hours sometimes, lots of hard work. My boss would beg to differ. It was good fun, and I met some people who really believed in me as a musician because they'd heard me. I would bring my sax up with me up north. Like, I remember we went to Leeds, and I would just play to an entire pub spontaneously, and that's when all the jocks from up in Aberdeen would start saying to me, why are you in this job?" And I say, "Because it pays the bills." And so, "You could make so much more if you did this." A couple of them would use that to their advantage and say, "Give us a reason to get rid of you because you're shit at your job." But basically, so many of these guys in the job said, "Pack in this job and just do it." But I didn't. To be honest, I longed it out for as long as I could, 15 months, which is quite a chunk of someone's time to be in a job, a year or so. And basically, I got sacked for unexplained reasons. They never explained to me why they got rid of me. So the first thing I did, that I went in on a Monday morning. I remember the day like it was yesterday. It was a lovely, sunny, warm day in May, and it was just after the May Day bank holiday. I had been slightly bragging about how much money I'd made in 2.5 hours on the Sunday. Basically, I got a letter of dismissal. I ran home so quickly with all my stuff. It was like a dream come true that I could actually have an opportunity to do what I dreamed of.
So why do you think it took them sacking you rather than you saying, actually, do you know what? I'm just going to go and do it. Do you feel like you maybe lacked a bit of courage, or was there any doubt in your head that, oh, if I quit my job, I might end up broke? Or what was it? How come you had to wait for them to get rid of you?
Well, to be honest, I did have my doubts, and I think anybody would if they were in a cushy little job that was earning, as long as they did the long hours, they would get the overtime, and obviously you'd have that comfortable wage. I think I was scared of commitment, like sort of a polar opposite of commitment. It's like giving up a commitment for another, and because that job is a commitment, it's also a trade. And you think, what if music doesn't work out? You're giving up a trade. But it didn't really matter because at the end of the day, before I left, the boss left and he started his own business, and I always had something to fall back on for the first year or so. He was always hiring me for the small jobs that he did. So I had that, but I always had my music, and I never realised how much it would take off. And the only reason, Ronnie, that it took off is because I put the work in. I worked so hard. I went out every single day. Luckily, I didn't have to work more than 4 hours a day because I'd already accumulated enough to say I've made twice over what I ever made in a week.
So as soon as you got sacked, was you out? Was that it? After that, the next day onwards, you was just out You was out busking.
I ran home so fast, got into some normal clothes, got the train, went to London. It was about 12 o'clock, took myself to Hammersmith, and that's where it all started.
And then you just started going, what, every day, 5 times a week? Would you go all over the place? Where did you decide to go? Did you plan it out, or did you just sort of, once you've got no job, did you just wake up and think, you know what, I'm going here today, I'll try it out there? Or how did you sort of plan your week?
Well, I've been planning, to be honest, Ronnie, I'd been planning it for months before. I would be going around in the lorries in London, and I would see all these potential busking spots. I would see buskers. I remember driving through Hammersmith, and seeing this guitarist bouncing away in this massive spot outside the Broadway station entrance. And I thought I could play there. So the first thing I did, I Googled Hammersmith's council and rang them up and said, "What's your license permit scheme?" And they said, "We don't have one." I was like, all right, okay, cool. So, and I did that with almost every council in London.